All right, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Good afternoon, good evening.
Wherever you are tuning in from. So this is another episode of the Not an Accident podcast. I'm attorney Kevin, and it is not just a normal episode. We are on episode 50.
50!
Woo! And I am super stoked. This is a guest that I've been trying to get on for a very long time. He is the founder, CEO, captain of the ship, Mr. Brian Schaefer of the Skatepark of Tampa. Thanks for coming on, man.
Huge. SPOT for the record. Thanks for having me, Kevin. I'm glad to be here.
Dude, I'm so stoked. And I brought this and I was showing Brian, so I don't know if we can zoom in on this or not. Maybe the editors can. So this photo is the first time that Brian and I met in 2002. January of 2002 at a Tony Hawk demo where he picked me out of a crowd of 3,000 people, had no idea who I was or anything like that, took me on the ramp. I was wearing a helmet, had it signed by Tony, and a couple months later, we ran into you at the skate park. You were coming in the small warehouse when the offices were back there coming out, and my mom and dad were with me, and they were like, that's that guy from Orlando. And then 24 years later, you're basically
24 years
basically
later.
part of our wedding, or excuse me, our family. You were at my wedding,
and I was at your sister's wedding. It's we are family, you know.
Yeah.
24 years later. I like the timestamp on here.
Isn't that mad?
And I guess, did you say you went back the next year? Because this is the year I was there. I didn't make it the next year, but you went back there. I think you had mentioned your dad threw you over the fence to go get Tony Hawk to sign it.
He was going, Tony was doing the demo again. It was at City Walk in Orlando. And we were there. And I remember when we were trying to get in before the demo had started, there was this like very large security guard that's like, nobody's getting back there. And they would have you exit like basically where the guardrails were of the ramp. And then they were getting ready behind the ramp. And my dad was like, listen, I'm going to toss you over the fence real quick. Just don't stop. And I just tossed over. And then Tony signed the photo real quick, just basically ambushed Tony Hawk. And
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So
that, the Surf Expo, Universal Studios, Quiet Flight, like vert demo thing was pretty awesome. I got thrown into that. I remember it now. Had you on my shoulders.
Yep.
You were wishing people happy birthday. Was it your birthday?
It wasn't even my birthday. I think you were just going with it or wishing other people a happy birthday, and just started skating
on the mic, and then you were calling tricks, and it was the first time I met you. And I think I was like, your dad's like, well, where are you from? What do you do? And I was like, well, we're in Tampa and we have a skate park. And you're like, no shit. Like, we're in Apollo Beach. And later on, all of a sudden, like, you know, you guys were coming to the park, and then we've been friends for, you know, like you said, 24 years. Family.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Family.
It's how life happens. So
and I like that we know Tony Hawk.
I like that's super cool. And then my favorite part is when we just saw him like 2 years ago, and we told him the whole story, and he was like just blown away. It was a cool moment. So this is obviously the origin story, but even a more important origin story is obviously the skate park. Now, it's been well documented, and we were talking about it. You guys have done an amazing job at, you know, just talking, you know, about the skate park, the history, the brand, everything. Really with, you know, Paul originally had the ramp, from my understanding. Then some nutbag tried to like burn it down. You guys got evicted out of that original spot. You're like, I'm Brian Schaefer, and I need to put the pieces together as kind of always the captain of the ship.
Yeah.
But being, you know, a young guy in your 20s, what made you be like, hey, listen, like, I'm going to help my friends. I'm going to lead the charge. I'm going to find a place for a ramp. And, oh, by the way, let's create a skate park.
Well, man, it was a good accident. It's still in business somehow 33 years later. The Skatepark of Tampa, like you just said, the rough story, we had a vert ramp from 91 to 92 September in Drew Park. You know, it's off of Hillsborough and Dale Mabry.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome private skate park. Paul Zitzer going to school, pursuing his professional career. His parents were like, let me help these guys have a vert scene, because our ramp in Brandon was kind of done. Astro was done. There was other ramps in Tampa that kind of fell apart, but then lo and behold, Paul Zitzer, his parents own like Phase 2 skate shop, so he was going to school at USF to pursue his pro career. And, you know, 24 years later, I'm still friends with Paul Zitzer, and we work together. So it's pretty awesome. So the ramp came down, and we're like, can we build a skate park? Can we live in the skate park? We stored the ramp at my dad's shop. tried to find warehouses. Luckily, I found this man, George Lackey, that I'm friends with today. That was
No
the
way.
landlord, part owner of the warehouse. I just had beers with him the other day at the Brick House Tavern on Dale Mabry.
That's
So
so cool.
every few months I see him. He's like 81 years old. He's my mentor. And lo and behold, 33 years later, we're still in the same warehouse. And honestly, because he gave us like the chance of a lifetime. He's like, well, Brian, skateboard club. Gonna be chasing you down with for the rent. So most people get first and last, but I'll need 3 months rent from you up front. And I was like, can I get an extra, month free? He's like, okay.
Okay.
And he worked with
That's
us
awesome.
every day. And every time he had to raise the rent, like every 3 years, I was like, is there any way we can do something to not raise the rent? He's like, can you fix the roof? I was like, yes. He's like, okay, we'll keep it at this rent. He always worked with us. But anyway, the skate park of Tampa, lo and behold, found the place. When we pulled the trigger, the vert ramp was up in 2 days, and we built the pyramid and a little sketchy rolling, threw some benches in there, and off goes the skate park of Tampa, the residents, and the the dream, or not the dream, the concept of it. I went to California on my first trip when we were 21 with a bunch of friends, Kyle, Darren, my friend Leonard. Our first trip to California, and we ended up in San Francisco, skated the San Jose warehouse, Corey O'Brien, Simon Woodstock, and a lot of the guys lived at this warehouse. So
Really?
this is
Okay.
92. San Jose, pretty great scene. Shout out to Jeb Stewart for taking care of us through Oakland, and showing us the pools, the Oakland Hills pools, because all the houses burned down. There's so many stories that I could tell, but the concept or the thought of it was like, hey, we're all 20, we're all 21. Maybe we can put this ramp in the warehouse, kind of like the San Jose skate park, and live in the offices. And lo and behold, there was like 4 or 5 offices. There was a sketchy shower. We built a rough kitchen, and off we went. We were open in 2 weeks after putting up the vert ramp, and then, we were all living there. It was pretty rad.
How was starting the business, I guess, in those early years? You're like, okay, well, now I have a responsibility for rent and obviously, other things. Like, how did it kind of transform, I guess, into a skateboard club to an actual business those first couple of years?
One, the skateboard club, let me clarify. There was this thing called the Boy Scouts that you could be a part of this club, and then they would have like a $55 membership a year, and it would cover your personal insurance for stuff like skateboarding. And when we did it, that was kind of one of the layers that helped us get through the city. We were scheduled as or noted on the books as a retail store, and the back of the warehouse was a skateboard club. So this was private and this was public use. But anyway, how it all came about, as far as business, it was like, we didn't have much money, or I didn't have much money, but I had enough for the 3 months rent. My parents, took a second mortgage out, believe it or not, for a $5,000 loan, because my parents are hardcore blue collar hospitality industry, didn't have much money. And they're like, are you sure? I was like, well, it was $170 a month, for like 3 years. And I was like, I can work that off. I could do dishes if it doesn't work out. So my parents believed in me, got me the loan. That added to the little bit of money that I had saved. And we just worked hard, man. Put up the ramp, started collecting $5. Collecting rent was really tough because everybody was broke, but they would trade in skateboards, to help pay the rent, because a lot of people were sponsored. But it evolved. It's a good accident. The skate park at Tampa was designed to be like, we need a place to skate. Let's start a skate park, without any kind of foresight of this is going to work, and this is how we need to budget, and this is the way, the revenue needs to come in, and this is where we're going. And it was just the basic concept: skate shop, soda machine, pay to skate, do contests, and it just evolved. And, the vert ramp was right in the middle of the floor, as you know, and for those of you guys that are watching, the park had transformed many times, and it continues to transform. I think the template of where we're at now is almost exactly where it's going to be, give or take with remodeling, but we always find ways to put a twist on it or put a new door in some place to make the park flow. But we are, still working on getting the vert ramp back up, to uphold, vert again, 35 years later. So hopefully that'll be up next year. But, the concept of the business, it was like skate, see if we can pay the bills. And lo and behold, here we are 33 years later.
Insane. And then obviously this is, going to go into a lot of different questions of subject, but you guys were basically roughly a year, and you're like, let's do an AM contest and a pro contest. Like, how did that come about where it's like, we want to hold our own contests?
The great question. Moving the vert ramp into the corner opened the whole skate park up into the course.
And that's how I knew it, when it was always where basically the offices.
Yeah, 2002. I think we just might have bought the warehouse. And then, but the vert ramp moved into the corner, and then it opened up the landscape for a contest. And skateboarding at the time, not everybody was busy. There was NSA contests, and there wasn't that many pro contests. Maybe there was Slam City Jam in Vancouver, a few others. And then what happened was, I think I was trying to tie it into NSA or the World Cup Bostics. And I think nobody was going like, I'm in. So we're like, well, let's try to do it, and I was riding for Think at the time, Spitfire, Venture. So I had my connections, and everybody that was staying at the park was sponsored by somebody or pro or AM. So we had like this, Southeast Florida, mini California that was brewing because we had the best vert scene. Everybody would go to Woodward for the summer and then come and stay at the skate park. Tuss Pappas, Ben Pappas, so many other greats. And Paul Zitzer lived here. Brian Howard moved here. Anthony Furlong, Mike Frazier lives here. We spawned so many great skateboarders later on, but at the current time, it was Lance Conklin, Mike Dare, Bo Turner, Scott Conklin, Clyde Singleton, so many greats from Florida that built this nice little scene that, we'd have a contest or just a party, and it would be, a mini contest or a mini California. So, the contest was like, nobody was like, we're going to help you. But everybody was like, if you throw a contest, none of the contest organizations. But then we were like, well, let's do it on our own, see what happens. So got this fax machine, made a flyer, hand wrote something probably, and told everybody like what's going on, what we're doing, and asked for like some donations and products and put the word out, and I went to Ybor City at my good friend Edwin, one of the previous GMs. He had a place called Blue Chair Records. Somehow in his attic there was a cord from the next door neighbor, plugged it into the fax machine, facsimile.
Somehow there was a cord.
And then plugged it in, got free phone, long distance calls, and sent one fax at a time to every skateboard company. It was the good old days. That's like 94, I think, was the first contest. Sometimes I get the years mixed up, 94 and 95. But I had people that believed in me. People that came through the park that knew that it's a safe place. They can stay there. They can skate there. They like to party. And another thing, the contest in the beginning, we placed the contest. The contest used to be January was AM, and then March was like pro.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they were so close back to back, those were crucial months for good weather in Tampa, Florida. And, not only did we have a cool scene at the skate park, we have Miami, we have Clearwater, we have the restaurants, the bars, the clubs, the strip clubs. There's like so many other things.
I still have my Mons Venus shirt. The blue one. Remember the blue one from like
DVS one? I think
from
it is.
03 maybe, something like that. 02. Yeah, I still have it.
Those were those are still
staples.
I encourage everybody to make a custom contest shirt. When everybody made custom, e-boring shirts.
Still have that one too. Yeah. I have awesome parents, so my mom saved all that.
it's pretty cool, man. I still have a lot of stuff too. But anyway, the contest was based on the right timing, not a lot of things going on in the industry. The weather, people could come down from New York, because it's in Canada. So it was Canada, Pennsylvania, New York, Philly, DC, Virginia, North Carolina. I mean, everybody wanted to get out of the cold, so it was like a bonus. And then it just it built from there. The AM contest then turned into the pro contest, it's we're very lucky to still do it, and the contest is like, I think we're on our 33rd year of Tampa Am coming up.
Which is insane. How did it become like such an experience? You kind of touched that a little bit, but it's like you kind of tied everything in together. Like, I always appreciated and I thought it was awesome that you guys had a public schedule, that it's like, here's when the TM contest is. Here's when the actual contest is with qualifiers. Here's when the finals are. Here's, nightlife. Like, how did it become like so organized, which is, I think, a better experience for everybody?
We just had great people.
Yeah.
Or we worked hard and we figured it out along the way. The Skatepark of Tampa, it's not just me, it's everybody that's worked there along the way. Everybody that's here, that was there then and donated or contributed or worked or got paid to work or volunteered to check IDs or to help build the park or to help put up a fence or to help do security or help get $5 at the register or sit in and sell Coke. So it's everybody's contribution. But I mean, like, as far as being organized, it's like, I'm pretty structured, everything has a place. It just worked. It worked because we did a backyard barbecue style in a contest that was structured and relaxed, like, a big convention center or a big coliseum or auditorium indoor contest, but we ran it like it would be a backyard party, and that's what kind of helped with the success of it.
When, as the contest started to grow, and you guys started getting, basically, I guess, major sponsors or real checks and giving away, thousands of dollars, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars.
Sometimes.
Well, sometimes. When was the first year, if you can remember back, like maybe in the early 2000s or something like that, where you're like, oh shit, like, we say bad words, a couple of them on the podcast, like, oh shit, oopsie, bleep that. But when you were like, oh, wow, like, this is a lot, they're paying me they're paying us X, like, this is crazy, like, I did it almost.
There's never like, we did it or I did it, or it's like the realization of like, wow,
or even like, that's a lot of zeros.
Is real. Yeah. It's what was cool, I mean, it's a building experience. We had Airwalk in the beginning, Rob Dotson, maybe we had $1,000 purse for the pro contest. We did whatever we could, and then we had Duffs, and then lo and behold came DVS, and then DVS, and then Quicksilver and Shorties. So with better sponsors and better brands, and then came Red Bull, and then came Gatorade, so man, it was a skaters contest for skaters by skaters. I know it's kind of cliche, but it just kept building, and we were able to add a little bit more to the purse and add a little bit more to the best trick. And then, cash tricks for cash. And, another like milestone for us was, 2007, if I have my dates correct. Nike SB was created, or they were already kind of in the skateboarding world and creating like exclusive dunks and shoes. And they were doing all the right things. They were, partnering with the right people, sponsoring the right people, whether it be, tranny dudes or vert, pool, street. I mean, they were out to make a difference in skateboarding. And, they signed up, and they, brought our $2,000 purse, $3,000, $5,000 purse into a $20,000 purse, and we had a $20,000 purse for a street invert at the time, so back to zeros and back to real money. Nike came in and really helped us and supported us. And it was the first year we were able to completely empty course, the pro course, and just rebuild it from scratch. So, and they helped fund a lot of important things that helped us: the broadcast, the course, the purse, the artist, and so it just evolved, man. And people wanted to be a part of something rad, and they still do. And we're very fortunate that we've had the right brands along the way. Every brand, whether they put in, $1,000 or sent their riders, it's been a building block.
It all helps
of really making Skatepark of Tampa what it is today.
And we want to say because we want to stay politically correct in 2026, tranny dudes, he means people that ride transition.
Transition.
So,
A tranny is a short for a transition.
There we go. Just want to correct that
ramp.
For the audience. We're going to get canceled on episode 50. And we talked about this yesterday. I went and saw you, and I had to pick up a fresh Skatepark of Tampa tee because I wanted to represent.
You look sharp.
Thank you. One of the major questions I think I've always wanted to ask you for many years. Yeah, we got to get our serious stance now. How does it feel to have created so many careers and changed so many lives? Like, I mean, there are so many unknowns, especially that have come through Damn Am, that they got discovered at the Skatepark of Tampa, and the Felipe Gustavos and the Cody McIntyres and the Sierra Fellers and so many.
How does it feel? Sometimes I'm living it's right in front of me, so it's hard to project or now go back. But when you ask the question, I was just talking to my friend SK, and we were at an all ages contest, and she kind of asked the same thing. And I was watching, and I was like, trying to answer the question, but I was like, I pointed to people on the course. I'm like, I've known that family since his kid was, since his son was, 10 and now he's 15. Or these people are dating over there because they met at the Skatepark of Tampa. Not only careers are made at the Skatepark of Tampa, families are made at the Skatepark of Tampa. People have been proposed to at the Concrete Jam a couple of years ago. My friend, Justin Williams and Irene have a baby because he's coming from San Francisco and met great people at the Skatepark of Tampa. My venture team manager.
Yes, of course.
Thank you, Justin.
I know Justin very well.
But let's go to Felipe Gustavo. Felipe will always go. I will never forget this moment in my life. When Felipe came to the Skatepark of Tampa, the contest was full, but he was ripping. We decided to put him in the contest, and he won. Him and his father, which he still travels all the time with, basically sold everything they could and came to Tampa with a little translation, paper book, because the internet wasn't even available. Cell phones might not even have been available at the time. They probably were, but it was very, very minor.
Yeah, 06.
Or not as available. Obviously, translator. And we translated. They skated. He won the contest. It started his career. So, Trevor Colden, Cody McIntyre. There's just so many people. I would say if you look back at the whole roster of Tampa Am, I would say, there's 30, there'll be 33 after October of this year of 2026. I would say that out of 32 winners of Tampa Am, I would say 25 of them went on to have a long pro career.
I agree.
And I would say half of them are still living their pro career or tied in with skateboarding or well known because, one, they worked hard, of course. But the Skatepark of Tampa was the proving ground. It was like, you want to be there. The team managers used to be there. They're still there looking for the next great pro. And, I guess I hate to say it, but Tampa Am is like today's amateurs, tomorrow's pros.
Yeah, there you go.
So
put the slogan out
it's pretty rad, but it's I would think that a lot of people have said it, and I always forget until you bring it up. They're like, man, the Skatepark of Tampa changed my life, one way or another. And sometimes I run into people that are like, I'm old now, and they're like 30. I was like, but the Skatepark of Tampa was the shit. It changed my life. It kept me out of trouble, man. And my dad used to come there all the time. Me and my dad were tight because of the Skatepark of Tampa. He loved it too.
That's
so
awesome.
I run into people all the time, because I'm an old soul, old bird.
You got a couple years on
I've been in the games a long time, and so I run into people that skated there, now have kids that skated there, or uncles or teachers or brothers. And it's pretty cool that the skate park of Tampa has created an experience, so to speak, whether it be a small experience, a big experience, your first experience, your second experience. There's so many different levels of and layers of the skate park of Tampa, whether it be your first drop in, might be your first make out at a party, might be your first punk rock band, and it might be your first experience meeting a pro or an AM or somebody in the industry or somebody that you mentor. So it's all layers of first experiences.
Or even if you're, masquerades and you're a young, impressionable 12-year-old and the hot girl shoves your face in their lady area, chest area. I don't know who that was. That was me.
Is that you?
Yeah. We were up at the bar. Yeah. I want to find that photo.
You're a bad kid.
I'm a bad kid. Yeah.
I think they might refer to that as a brumski.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. A motorboat? A motorboat? Well, man, like those were
it was the coolest time of my life. I mean,
Ybor City let the all ages in for our party. And those were the years. Well, that was 10 years. We did our first anniversary, our 10-year anniversary at the masquerade.
I was there.
So many experiences, even Ybor City, drunk pirates, Mardi Gras parades, or St. Patty's Day parades. I mean, it's wild. A wild bourbon street in Tampa, Florida, called Ybor City.
I remember it was the rule from like when I was like 12 or 13, and my parents were awesome. But we always left at 11 o'clock. That was the rule, that we always left. Because we knew things were about to pop off.
Well, you're like 12 years old.
I was like 13 or 14 in Ybor, so
it's time to go home, kids.
Yeah,
it's time to go home.
Like, and I remember I was so like getting a little bit older. I would be so bummed on my parents because I'm like, look at all, because you guys would post the photos from the next day, and I'm like, look at this guy and look at that guy, and oh my God, Eric Costin was there and all this, and they're like, yeah. And then once I got older and like started obviously having kids, I'm like, yeah makes perfect sense now. So it was an experience.
Man, it's back to those experiences, Kevin. It's like, I'm honored to be here on your 50th episode. I'm honored to know your parents. And those experiences aren't just for everybody else. Those are experiences for me. So when you talk about it, and when I realize, as I'm looking at this photo of you and I on the deck, just after I got kicked out of this demo at Universal, because I said, holy shit, this demo is going off. And I got kicked off.
Like, nope, out.
Not PC at Universal Studios, but the guy didn't like me. But as I look at that photo, I mean, these are like, I've been to your wedding. I've been to your sister's wedding. Your dad has helped me, with the bricks, and
friends,
and helped me with everything. And we're friends for life. He was friends with my dad.
Yeah.
My mom, your mom is friends with my mom and dad. I mean, it's like those experiences aren't just for people coming in. They're for the experiences that I've had and all the staff, throughout the years as well. So, man, I just had a moment looking at that photo.
It's all good, man. I love it. I know this, Brian, and I've known you on a personal level for obviously many years, as which we've established. I also, and probably 90% of the masses, know Brian as the master ceremonies, as the showman. Have you ever, since the first day I've met you, having a microphone and how do you get that confidence, or where does that come from? Where it's like, it's like a light switch, comes on, and it's like, all right, let's do this. Like, lights, camera, action. Where does that all, inspire from?
I was always the scene builder, like in Brandon. I was always a little bit outgoing more than everybody. I'd probably be the first one to step in and throw a punch if needed. I'd be the first one to talk back, so to speak. So being like the microphone guy or the announcer, I think it just came with organizations, organizing. I think it came with like organizing, having to direct, having to have a voice to, make it happen so people could communicate. And it just happened, I can't remember the day I first grabbed the mic and it worked, but I was kind of always a little bit loud. I'd be the first person to like spark up a conversation in a room if it's a dull moment. And I was a scene builder. We had a ramp at my house. My dad had came home and built a cement bowl because the Bro Bowl was a little sketchy back in the day. So we'd always be hosting events. So hosting events means, what do you guys want for lunch? My mom's making sandwiches. Or like, let's have a contest. Or this is what we're doing. So I guess I was always just more vocal or leading it or being a scene builder, I guess. I hate to say scene builder, but just being a host. Being a host means you have to direct, talk, let people know what's going on. And then one thing led to the next, at the skate park at Tampa, that there's the mic, we're hosting a contest. And I thought I was good at it. I still do it today, not as much as I used to. But I like to do it. I like to entertain. It's fun, and I try to always incorporate the whole room, whether it be the parents or the small kids or the people skating or the industry. And it's kind of fun too, because you can kind of heckle and harass everybody and try to make everybody laugh without hurting people's feelings.
I'm going back to the 02 to 05 days, when you guys, I would say, I shouldn't say brutally honest, but you guys were a lot more honest on the mic, dude, that kid's shoes are whack, or just stuff like that.
I mean, big boy foy, but certain things weren't harmful.
It was never malicious.
It was never, not intentional, but you might get Clyde on the mic.
Except
and it might
Tim
might get raw.
Or Tim with the Xavier dude. Yeah, Tim O'Connor with the Xavier guy. That didn't go well. But
sometimes it doesn't, and it's like ba-dum-bum, and then you try to jump to the next topic, or let's go back to the contest. Let's go back to the contest, Tim.
Next in, yeah. That's awesome. Is there anybody, going down memory lane, there's, talking about Tony Hawk and talking about, Dave Chappelle's been to the skate park. Bam has obviously been to the skate park many times recently.
Bam's a local.
We
love Bam.
Bam's awesome, super kind guy. Steve-O's obviously been to the skate park many times, all these, celebrities, incredible pro skateboarders, things like that. Is there anybody that, in poor choice of words, that you kind of fanboy out on, or kind of oh my gosh, this is one of my idols or heroes? Or anybody maybe you haven't met yet?
I'm a fan of skateboarding, and the legends like Matt Hensley, Tony Hawk, Mark Gonzalez, those are the premium. I don't know how to talk to them or break the intro sometimes, but over the years it's gotten easier. I've become friends with them, so I still nerd out around Tony. I was still honored to get him on the phone, thanks to Mike Frazier, for our 30 years of vert, and he's picked the phone up and said, "Schaefer, what up?" And I was like, didn't think he was going to pick up, and I took a screenshot, and I was 21 minutes. I talked to Tony Hawk.
That's insane.
Man, but I'm honored. I'm flattered. I'm flattered that Edwin lived in New York City and Dave Chappelle had, the skate park at Tampa with the con shirt on, because he used to come through town.
Insane.
I'm honored that, and skate the park after his shows. I'm honored that, Lil Wayne would call us.
Shame on me, yeah.
And skate the park.
I met Lil Wayne there. Yeah, it was surreal. And he's just standing up there watching skateboarding, and I'm like, is this really happening right now?
Yeah,
100% was.
There's been a lot of people, he was
Chloe
such a nice, New York.
By the way, he was
Kids.
such a nice guy, super nice. But,
yeah.
But you were saying Chloe from
Chloe Sullivan. I can't say her last name. You might have to edit this one out.
Yeah.
Chloe Sullivan.
Yeah, something like that.
But Chloe from Kids, she loves skateboarding. She always used to come to the skate park at Tampa, courtesy of Alana, our good friend that was a big part of the skate park at Tampa. Man, there's going back to names and faces. Now I'm going into the original residents. But we're lucky and fortunate, but we worked for it, to have all the people that have ever believed in us, mostly, but back to celebrities or just people that I look up to, having the girl team back in the day, Sean Sheffy, Rick Howard, Mike Carroll, legendary, there's no other contest that used to host that time and time again. And those are the good old days. It's still there. It's different now. It's an international kind of tie-in, but legends in skateboarding, legends, in musical artists or comedians or just iconic people. It's rad that so many people know the skate park at Tampa, whether it be the Tony Hawk, PlayStation, Pro Skater, music videos, contest, 411 video days. It's been pretty awesome.
the heads that you would see during the contest that didn't skate contests that would come out and support, or, from, like you said, like Rick Howard, Mike Carroll, Chris Cole, skated quite a few contests, but to see him in person, there's so many different names. When the Zero team would come out, Tommy Sandoval and Jamie was at the park a couple of times, Thomas and things like that. I mean, like seeing all these people that you would literally like only see in the magazines or see in the streets that weren't contest skaters. It was just wild to be like, wow, this warehouse is 20 minutes from, like, it almost, we were spoiled, like, being in the area, because it was like, I mean, there was literally a demo every other month.
There was, like, man. Those were the good old days when teams used to, drive on tours and come through
dudes
Tampa.
In a van. Let's go.
The A team with Rocco shooting water balloons on a giant slingshot, I'm starting to go through memory banks, my memory banks. It's like Lindsey Robertson, ollieing off the vert ramp to flat, Dustin Dolan, J.R. Neves, frontside flipping off the U-Haul truck that went before the show when we were loading in music equipment back in the day. A lot of great times. And I'm sorry, I'm just rambling right now. We had Jim Thiebaud and Mickey Reyes skate the team manager contest.
Love those guys.
Had Avail, Hot Water Music, Sam I Am, do our anniversary parties, CKY,
Big Boy.
Big Boy. Those are outside of the skate park. That's when
Andrew WK.
That's when Nike helped us. Andrew WK was our 10-year
Party Hard
with the Bouncing Souls. That was a milestone for us. We're like, we can't do these parties at the skate park anymore, because we'd be like, okay, here's the cut. And we'd announce who's making it to Sunday at like 6:00. And we'll be like, we got to close the warehouse down. We'll be back open at 8:00 and kick everybody out and then throw the party inside the skate park of Tampa. Those were good parties, but we were up till like 4, 5 in the morning and be back at 9 in the morning.
Make it somebody else's problem. So with all of that being said and all those amazing memories, so many years, obviously 33 years of the skate park, what keeps you going?
Business is hard, Kevin.
Yes, it is.
Skateboarding is hard. It's 2026. We're fortunate that we own the property. We're able to fix things. We don't have a greedy landlord kicking us out. So that's a helpful thing, or a big element that's super helpful. The drive to still make it work is, I love skateboarding. We're still trying to get the vert ramp back to make Fraser happy. Hopefully I can be healthy enough to skate it again. I can barely walk. My back.
Fraser can't keep going to Ocala to Shaw's ramp, man. Like
nah, Fraser wants to come to the skate park at Tampa and drive over the bridge and not drive 2 hours, each way to skate. But God bless his soul, man. He's my hero. Mike Fraser is the best foot skateboarder
whose ramp is up there?
Ever lived. Phil Hadgels.
Hadgel. Excuse me,
pro skateboarder. Florida. Been in Ocala forever. Great friends with Billy Lane back in the day. Their own little scene, but he built a vert ramp out in his backyard, which is an asset to vert skating in Florida.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's just what you've done for skateboarding is absolutely incredible, and it when you see, I guess, with the brand that you've built, just walking in an airport and seeing the logo somewhere, do you just smile at yourself and it's just like, I know I see it around town, or I see it when traveling.
It's cool, like, man. It's cool. So, I'm honored. I'm flattered. You went and got a shirt today.
Had to.
When you say, like, I love it when we can put "Welcome to Tampa Pro" at the airport when you come down the escalator. I love it when I'm out and it's on the bar TV, or somebody sees somebody with a tattoo, or I see somebody with a City Star tattoo, courtesy of Atomic Tattoos, that have been tattooing at the skate park of Tampa for like 25 plus years. I'm flattered. I'm honored. Skate Park of Tampa t-shirts and stickers make friends. So my friends are like, they're in New York and they skate and they're like, oh, this, look, somebody was wearing the Skate Park of Tampa and they used to live there. And now they live in New York and they used to work at the Skate Park of Tampa, or now they're in San Francisco. It's cool that it's still going, It's rad.
It's absolutely insane. So, what would you, and kind of wrapping things up, if somebody was trying to start a skateboard brand today or wanted
Don't do it.
Don't do it. I knew that was coming.
Don't do it.
So, if they just absolutely, they're a glutton for punishment, what would you say that they should do?
I think my first thing would be don't do it, you
Okay.
know? But everybody's driven by passion, right? Like if somebody had told me don't do it, you know, back in the day, I'd be like, whatever, we just want a place to skate. It all depends on what you want out of it. If you're trying to make money, don't do it. If you're trying to uh make a living out of it and make it easy, don't do it, you know? But if you love skateboarding and you want to do a scene, then do it. I would advise trying to get some city help or doing something under a bridge and trying to utilize the resources out there because liability insurance is expensive. Nobody wants to pay to skate. It's hard to keep up and maintain a building. Rent is expensive. Location is always tough. Retail's tough, but it's been good to us, you know, so I can't lie. You know, it's been good to me. It's provided my living. You know, I don't have, expensive taste, so I've been able to just get by and save some money, still put it back into the skate park of Tampa and continue to build on it, you know, and that has to do with our brands, our partners that are still helping today. It's a tough business, but we've been lucky to do it, and we're very lucky to have the right people over the years. And it's you almost, if you were to do it, you would have to have like a tight group of like 5 people that really covers the whole field, like a retail expert, a digital expert, a GM, and somebody that does events, you know, because the skate park alone can't do it. The only reason why it's worked for us is because the timing, the contests, the lessons, the parties, the shows, the all ages contest. It's like all encompassing. You just can't stop. And when you do, it's like it'll be the end of it.
First of all, I was going to say I can't thank you enough for everything you've done and the effect that you've had on my life. And I truthfully will say, you know, I've not traveled nearly like you have, but there will never be another place like the skate park of Tampa, probably ever in skateboarding.
Thank you. And I agree. There'll be no place like the skate park of Tampa then and now. But that all like entails the people that have the feeling and understand what that means or have been through the skate park of Tampa, and probably 1,000+ people with tattoos having that weekend experience. So I don't think there'll ever be anything like it. But I hope so. I hope that I get to go to some skate park soon and live there and want to be a part of it. And then there's a vert ramp and a street course and just great people working there. I hope so.
I love it. I love it. We're going to wrap up, and I always ask this question at the end of every podcast. I'm going to say, so at the end of your story, when the music stops, what do you want to be remembered for?
I hope there's a lot of people that are happy that they've met me. I hope that they're stoked in some way that I've given them an experience. I've done something for them that they won't forget. But being remembered for, you know, I hope being genuine and kind and having integrity and a man of my word, you know? I mean, that's like, I guess that's something that I just dug up, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, where you put me on the spot. So if I could redo that again, I mean, on my grave, I hope on my gravestone, I think I said this once to somebody, is like, not a douchebag.
There you go.
And maybe I shouldn't use that word, but, straight shooter, something like that.
Well, I cannot thank you enough for coming on. What a 50th episode. I love you. You're part of our family.
I love you too, man. You're part of that experience. And
so
you may not know everybody, but Kevin used to win all the all ages contests from 8 and under to 9 to 12. Maybe not the 13 to 15.
That was the last one I won.
The 9 to 12 or 13 to 15?
13 to 15 was the last one I won, and I was done.
And he still got a kickflip.
I still do. Yeah, it was the most, and I had, I mean, the experience that you created and and my parents that supported me.
I love your parents.
It was like the raddest childhood that I think anybody could really ever imagine. I mean, you know,
thank you.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm living 20 minutes away. I'm doing what I love. My parents are like, go to school, don't go to school, whatever. You're really smart. You'll figure it out. My favorite pro skateboarders are coming to town every year and or more often, like it was surreal to be like, and then to be friends with, I talked to Greg Lutzke. I just texted with him the other day. I talked to David Reyes. I talked to,
I love David Reyes.
He's amazing and stuff like that. Manny Santiago, and going to, the skate park even now with my son. I mean, it's like a family reunion. It's like to see all these guys and then they see me and they're like, you have a kid. And I'm like, I have two. It is the coolest thing ever. And you have, no idea from the bottom of my heart, like how much I really, really appreciate you. So
I feel it. I believe it.
Yeah. With that being said, before Jesus, it's getting dusty in here. In a minute. But thank you guys so much for watching this one. Make sure you like and subscribe. Absolutely incredible episode. And as we always end, Brian, it is no doubt not an accident that you are as successful as you are. So thank you, my friend.
Kevin, I appreciate you. 93 till infinity, the Skatepark of Tampa, Irma, and Bill Schaefer, my parents, I love them. I'm so glad your parents had you, Kevin.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for having me. I'm honored to be here on the 50th episode, and I'm happy that my experience with you is because of skateboarding. So
Absolutely.
We'll just keep living that on at the Skatepark of Tampa. So 93 till infinity.
Absolutely.
Peace.
See you guys.